And hello, New Jersey. It's good to be with you again. My name is Tammy McConnell. I'm a professor of history at Columbia College in South Carolina, and I'll ask my colleagues to introduce themselves.
My name is Sue Leeson. I'm a retired Supreme Court Justice from the state of Oregon and now a federal court mediator.
Good morning, New Jersey. My name is Elon Bludinger. I live in Washington, D.C. I chair the Board of Trustees for the Washington International School for the for-profit work. This is my fourth year judging on the national. Welcome.
Would you introduce yourselves and your teacher, please?
Good morning, my name is Pranay Mishra.
Good morning, my name is Ash Bhatia.
Good morning, my name is Shane Stone, and this is our teacher, Mr. Brodman.
Good morning.
And good morning. And I'm sure you're waiting for the question that you already know. This is Unit 1, wherein we wonder about the philosophical and historical foundations of the American political system. And the question is, why was the history of the Roman Republic both an example and a warning to America's founding generation? Why do you think the founders chose a republican or representative government rather than any other known forms of government? In Federalist 39, Madison argues that it is essential to such a republican government that it be derived from the great body of the society, not from an inconsiderable proportion or a favored class of it. Do you agree or disagree, and why? Please begin.
The Roman Republic set an example for our founders through its system of government, including separation of powers and checks and balances, classical republican beliefs like civic virtue, codifications of laws, and elections. The founders utilized a republic, establishing offices that are open to all freeborn citizens, similar to the Roman Republic. Both systems allowed for participation by the citizen through political offices with limited terms and elections. The Roman Council served as an early version of our executive, the president. Our founders saw the legislature as the most important of the branches, an idea that can be traced back to the preeminence of the Roman Senate. The codification of laws and rights we create in the Constitution can be linked to the Roman 12 tables. Finally, the history of the Republic showed that such a system could function. The Roman Republic also served as a warning, particularly to the issue of democracy degenerating into an autocracy. As noted by Professor Charles McElwain, a tendency towards autocracy in Roman institutions was apparent even in the Republican period. As the Republic grew, it became harder to represent the interests of all citizens because of its size and diversity. The Anti-Federalist Brutus, addressing our system, relying on the example of Rome, argued, a free republic cannot succeed over a country of such immense extent containing such a number of inhabitants. According to Professor Carl Richard, our founders' study of the Roman Republic convinced them of the need for vigilance against individuals who might threaten a republic. Caesar's actions led to the fall of the republic and served as a warning to our founders of the potential fragility of a republic.
The founders chose a republic because of their worries about a direct democracy, its support for popular sovereignty, and the system of representation it engendered. The founders worried that a democracy would be unsuitable as it might lead to what Madison addresses as the superior force of an interested and overbearing majority. A republic would help to limit this issue, as according to Professor Gordon Wood, in a republic, each man must submerge his personal wants in the greater good. Representation under a republican system allowed for the application of natural rights ideals such as popular sovereignty and consent of the governed. As Oxford Professor Fergus Miller elaborates, this allows ordinary people to have the decisive voice in the fundamental rules of their own society, unlike aristocracies with limited involvement. The founders disliked monarchies because the will of one man could be imposed by force, a situation they had faced under George III. Professor Stephen Schechter writes that republics are the best governments to secure an exact execution of the laws, because its laws and powers are derived from the people.
We agree that it is essential for a republican government to be derived from the great body of the society in order to assure legitimate government that reflects its polity and protects society. The concept of legitimate government is based on what Madison addresses in Federalist 40 when he states that popular consent is the pure original foundation of all legitimate authority. A government derived from a small portion of society lacks the appropriate consent. When a government is derived from a favored class, it leads to injustice. African Americans were subject to unfair treatment and abuse under the Jim Crow laws. As Aristotle notes, liberty and equality will be best attained when all persons alike share in the government to the utmost. A ruling white class created the laws that govern African Americans who had no voice to represent their needs. A government born from a favored class would not protect the basic rights of all, nor would it reflect its polity. The favored class that has power could lead to a tyranny of a majority, as seen in Nazi Germany with its limitations on Jewish rights. By deriving the government from a great body of society, popular sovereignty is assured.
Thank you. Let me go back and just question some of your basic assumptions. You assume that you argue that the founders assumed that, or they discarded the possibility of anything but a republic. Yet they were all aware that King James I had argued quite persuasively that only a king, responsible only to God, could truly guarantee the liberty of all his subjects, and therefore prevent the tyranny of the majority of which you speak. Was this attractive to any of the framers of the Constitution?
Well, the idea of a monarchy was extremely attractive to a few of the loyalists that had attended the Constitutional Convention. But as we saw, the founders wanted to uphold the principles of equality, liberty, and justice. And for their purposes, a system of a republic seemed the best at the time. I mean, there was deliberation on multiple systems. They even argued a plural executive. Some had argued maybe a constitutional monarchy. But the system of a republic seemed like the best option at the time.
I think that King James's statement about the power of monarchy is essential. I understand this because they're saying you need one person because too much deliberation among a republic could cause issues. And I think the founders did recognize this, and that's why after the Articles of Confederation, they made sure that there was an executive that did have powers that could make sure and ensure liberty for its citizens.
And at the time when America declared its Declaration of Independence, at the time it was breaking away from Britain and King George III's tyrannical rule against them. So I felt at the time they did not feel that monarchy would be the best way to go because that was the direct threat that they were trying to break away against.